So after playing and reviewing The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind and The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, in my reviews I came to the conclusion that for me Oblivion was the better game of the two. And obviously it also has an advantage being the newer game. Oblivion came out in 2006 while Morrowind came out in 2002, but still there are some things that in my opinion Morrowind did way better than Oblivion. So in today's video I wanted to talk about 3 things that the third Elder Scrolls game did better than Oblivion. And so the first thing that in my opinion Morrowind did better than Oblivion was the immersion of the game. And now this was definitely one of my favorite parts when it came to Morrowind, and a lot of different aspects come into that because obviously a lot of things play into the immersion that we feel while playing a game, but Morrowind definitely was one of the best games when it came to the immersion that I've ever played, and Oblivion, even though being 4 years younger, didn't even come close to the immersion that I felt in Morrowind. And obviously the first thing why the immersion of Morrowind was so great was the ridiculous amount of freedom that the game gives you. Like, you can literally ignore the main quest entirely and just wander the world for 70-80 hours without getting bored. You know, whether you join obscure factions or become a freelance monster slayer, in Morrowind there is always something to do, someone to speak, and some rewards to collect. And also the way Morrowind started, you know, it didn't really have a tutorial at all. You know, just after the first 5 minutes you could literally do whatever the hell you desired. Different to Oblivion that had a proper introduction to the game. In Morrowind it was literally like, okay, here you are, do whatever the F you want to do, this is your adventure, you decide. And literally the immersion of the game was probably the best aspect of Morrowind, all in all. And the immersion is definitely one thing that Morrowind did better than Oblivion in my eyes. Now the second thing that we're going to talk about in today's video is the skill system of Morrowind. In my opinion, Morrowind's character development was way more harsh, you know, it was a lot more difficult to get skills to upgrade your character, but it was way more rewarding that way. You know, obviously your character skills actually have to be used to improve, leading to a real sense of accomplishment as you become more powerful. And Oblivion's skill system is, in my opinion, more streamlined, and it can feel less impactful on your character's growth. You know, you don't really have to focus as much on your skills and all the whole skill system, but try not using the skill system in Morrowind, you'll go insane. I mean, think about the first couple of hours of Morrowind where you tried to fight and kill an enemy. You literally pressed your mouse button 10 times and hit once. It was crazy. At first you have to upgrade your combat skills and just become more powerful, and that way you'll actually be able to hit the enemies more precisely, do more damage. And the difference, you know, the rewards that you get from upgrading your skills are, in my opinion, way more game changing than they are in Oblivion. I also liked, as I said in my review of Oblivion, I also liked the skill system of that game. I think the Elder Scrolls series still does a way better job than most games with it, but Morrowind's skill system in my eyes was way ahead of its time and also better than Oblivion's. Okay, the third thing that Morrowind did better than Oblivion is the lore and a deeper world. I know this is very subjective, but Morrowind, it throws you into this bizarre and alien-like world, you know, kind of unlike anything we've ever seen in a video game. You know, the Ashlands, giant mushrooms, and bug people of Vardenfell create a very unique atmosphere in the game. And as we all know, the lore of the Elder Scrolls games is probably one of the deepest lores in video games in general, but in Morrowind I had a feeling like it was a lot more complex and used in the game, you know, with a very rich history and multiple factions with their own motivations. And you know, way more often in Morrowind the NPCs actually talked about battles or wars that happened hundreds of years ago, and while in my opinion you really felt and you really feel that the Elder Scrolls games are made with proper passion, but in my opinion when it comes to the lore and everything that we read and witness in the game, Morrowind did a slightly better job than Oblivion. And also when it comes to the open world, it's very subjective, as I said. The atmosphere of Morrowind in my eyes is just way more unique, you know, it's completely different than most fantasy games. And Oblivion, well, having a more beautiful open world in that sense, because obviously it's younger and it has a completely different setting, it still feels more like a generic fantasy game. In comparison to that, the lore and the open world of Morrowind were just way more unique and something completely different that we don't see in other games. And that also is the third thing that I think Morrowind did better than Oblivion. Alright guys, and now I'm interested in your opinions. Do you actually have some other aspect that you think Morrowind did better than Oblivion? Because for me, as I said, I came to the conclusion that Oblivion is the better game. Obviously it's very personal how you view it. For me, just after completing both of those games, I would recommend Oblivion to obviously more players, because it also is for more of the general players, you know, more for the casual gamers if you want to call them that. Morrowind is really for those old school gamers that really want to immerse themselves in a video game, and it also has some things, as I mentioned in this video, that it did better. But all in all, definitely both are great games, and as I said, I'm very interested in your opinions and on your aspects, what you think Morrowind did better than Oblivion, and comment under this video which game you actually prefer. Alright guys, that was it from me in today's video. I wish you all an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.